Last week I made a remote control car, which can, for the most part, drive for itself. It can do steering and it can turn the motor on and off via my phone. But I thought I'd explain how the circuit behind that works. So first up, there are 4 power sources, which seems like overkill, but actually probably isn't, because if any one of these batteries were to discharge too quickly, then it would overheat, and that would be bad. I'll go through the steering first. So this is the battery that powers the actual servo, which is right here. And basically, the ESP32, which is a microcontroller, sends a signal to the servo, and then the servo spins and it turns that gear, which then causes this bar to shift and the wheels to turn. And then the ESP32 itself is powered by this, which essentially gives it the power to actually send those signals. And then now onto the actual motor itself. This is a bit more complicated, but the reason it's more complicated is because the ESP32 can send signals, like it can send 0 or 1 at 3.3 volts. But the problem is that to actually control this motor, I need to use a MOSFET, which is kind of like a switch that can be either on or off. So the ESP32 only sends 3.3 volts, but this MOSFET requires a signal of 10 volts to be turned on or off. So I have to use this chip right here to amplify the signal. So basically how that works is this battery is supplying power to the chip, where when the chip receives a signal from the ESP32, then it will allow current from this battery to flow in, and then it will output a signal that is 10 volts. Then that 10 volt signal goes to the MOSFET here, and it causes this MOSFET to turn on, which allows the current from this battery to flow through the MOSFET and then into the motor. That causes the motor to spin. So that's basically how it works. There is a lot of voltage shifting. This is called a buck converter, which basically can step down your voltage. So for example, my batteries are 24 volts, but my MOSFET only requires, this only requires like a 10 volt input. So there's a lot of buck converters, there's a lot of voltage stepping up and stepping down, but in essence, that is how it works.